Blog Talk Radio.
Well, here we go, boys and girls across this great country. If it's Tuesday, it must have been Bear All Radio. Marianne Costello leading that crew. This is the middle of the pack. If you're looking at a quarter pounder and cheese, the meat here. This is Peter Ray's American Sports History Podcast live from Cleveland. Yours truly producing Mark Mancini, 347-205-9631. As I give him the podium, the mic and the red carpet. Peter, first of all, how are you? Second of all, how can people get a hold of you? Third of all, you pulled no punches bringing this guest out tonight. It's going to be a lively show.
Right. Hi, Mark. I'm fine. I'm doing well. I have a YouTube channel. It's my name, Peter J. Ray, R-E-A. I have a website, Adventures in History, from Peter J. Ray, and we've made a video for every year in Cleveland baseball history going back to 1869, including the 20 Negro League seasons from 1920 to 1950. Now, tonight's guest is a return fellow. He was on May 5th, and whenever I think of his name, I think of two people, Dante Alighieri, the author of the Divine Comedy referenced in the movie The Bucket List, and the great former star of the Baltimore Orioles, Cleveland Indians, and L.A. Dodgers, Boog Powell. Now, tonight's guest has plenty of the wisdom of the former and plenty of the baseball talent of the latter, and much more, including much more foot speed. The one and only, the incomparable Dante Powell. Welcome to the show, Mr. Powell.
Hey, fellas. Great to be aboard. How you doing?
Oh, I'm fine. You know, I love speaking to people. I think human beings are fascinating. Now, we can talk about your career, but I'd like to before we go on, Dante Powell played Major League Baseball from 1997 to 2001 with the San Francisco Giants and Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, Mr. Powell, you're from Long Beach, California. Were your parents? That's south of Los Angeles, right? Were your parents from California?
No, actually, that kind of brings around full circle. Why people ask me, am I from Texas or from the South somewhere? My mom is from Texas and my dad's from Mississippi. Father migrated, my grandfather migrated to Long Beach, California. There was a lot of work for African Americans in the Naval Shipyard. My father is one of 14 siblings, so we do have a pretty big family, a lot of cousins. And my mother is one of 4 siblings.
So you have Texas and Mississippi in your background.
Correct.
And do you get back to either state to visit family?
You know, I don't, and I haven't as much because a lot of our family has kind of moved to Texas. Some family is still in Texas as well, kind of all over. But mostly everybody here live now in California.
And how many siblings were in your family when you were growing up?
I got just me, my brother, and my sister.
And you are number what?
I am I'm really like number 1, but number 2.
Oh, you're the second of 3, but so what type of work did your father do?
You know, my dad was a firefighter for Long Beach for 30 plus years.
Wow. And what kind of a personality is your father still alive?
My father's still alive. He's
what kind of a personality does he have?
You know, my father is easy breezy, real cool. I love my father. Really good character. Obviously working. He was actually the first African-American firefighter on the Long Beach Fire Force.
Well, that's certainly something to remember. And your mother, did she work outside the home? Was she stay at home?
Well, Peter, let me tell you a little of the dynamics about my family since you're kind of digging into it a little bit. All joking aside, my mother is brilliant. I love her to death. She was called the chief. She was a chief wharfinger. And what a chief wharfinger is, and she was the first black African-American woman to be the chief wharfinger. meaning she ran the Port of Long Beach. So I don't know if you know the Port of Long Beach and the Port of L.A., how massive that is, but she actually ran that. She was the chief wharfinger of the maritime services of the Long Beach Port. Also, too, which I'm really excited to brag about my mom, she also, too, was a part of Dakowitz. Dakowitz was basically this military system to where women in the military didn't have too many rights. And what the military was doing at the time, they were selecting qualified civilians, men and women across the United States, to be a part of this board to actually help women become fire pilots in the services, in the military, do everything that the men do. So the Port of Long Beach, the commissioners in the Port of Long Beach, voted my mom into this system. So my mom was a part of this whole Dakowitz deal. So what my mom did, she traveled all across the world, all around the world. She went from military base to military base. And every military base that she stepped on, her rank was a 1 or 2-star general. I forget. So she was very, very high wig. And with that being said, I think there was like 12 selected to this board, and she was the chair of the board. So, I'm really proud of my mom. That's one of the reasons why I turned down $500,000 to go to college, because education is very important in my family. And, I'm really proud of my parents, and I love them to death.
Well, you really had and have high achieving parents. That's really something.
Absolutely. We have high achieving parents, and that's not unusual in the black community. It's just not announced and not known as much.
Well, I think it's unusual in any community when you think about it, black, white, whatever race you're talking about. So anyway, well,
I'm keeping it black today.
Okay. No, and that's because of the African American community. I think there had to be the idea that we really have to work hard, and that work ethic would have led, I'm sure, did lead to a lot of those who were able to really break through it to high achievement.
Well, absolutely, and then there's this, preconceived notion that, obviously African Americans, aren't smart enough to do certain things. And what really kind of pisses me off, because, I can go both ways, but, when I get the compliment of, Dante, man, you are so articulate from a white person. Well, how in the hell am I supposed to be? I've had African Americans who have died for me to read and write, Peter, so I'm definitely going to practice to be articulate and absolutely the best in everything that I do. Let me go back to a story. When my mom was in college, she had a teacher, and her teacher, she would fail her students if they had one misspelled word. That's the household I grew up in.
And you said your mother was in charge of the Long Beach port. What was her educational background? Was she an engineer?
A master's degree from Redlands.
And so was she in the military?
Not at all.
No.
It was a civilian selection.
So she was elected.
She was selected, correct.
Oh, selected. Wow, that's an incredible. I can't imagine. Doing that. So she was involved with all the ships coming in and out.
Absolutely, Peter. There's a time mechanism to where the ships have to come in and out, and if they're tardy, they have to pay enormous fines. So, with that being said, it's called maritime services all across the world. So you understand how large that is. Well,
that sounds like a lot. I can't imagine doing that job, because you got these ships. She's coming in and out, and I would imagine they would have to decide where they would dock. And how many ships could they handle at a time?
Peter, I wasn't sitting on her lap at her job, but I tell you this, I'm sure there was a lot of ships, because the Port of Long Beach is probably the most busiest port in the world. Port of Long Beach and Port of L.A. It's really massive. I'm sure there was tons of ships coming in every day, the stress, the pressure that, is added to the job. But the good thing is that, she was able to handle that, probably from the way that she grew up. Nevertheless, we put God first in our family and we serve Him. So that is the reason why she was able to reach, the high grounds that she was able to walk on.
Well, I think God's the most important thing in my life, and I think the most important reality that this powerful being does exist. It's very very loving, first of all, and wise and powerful, and so forth. And the thing is, as bad as obviously as tragic as African American slavery was, the horrendous tragic experience, the lives those folks lived. I think good can come out of bad, and I can't imagine the United States today, and actually the world today, without African Americans. So, and that's why I think African Americans play a major role in, and they have been for a long time, in making America great.
Major role is not good enough. If you go back in history, that's where it all started out, Peter. Not to exclude anyone from the historical map or the gender or race of people, but in particularly, if we're talking about black race, we're number one. We were number one as far as if you look at the history books, if you go back to the Moors, meaning that, I'm not going to go into that right now, but, there is a strong history that is really represented and associated to the black race.
Yeah, in Cleveland we've got a lot of that. It was interesting because when the Cleveland Browns started in 1946, Paul Brown just wanted to win, so he was it was one of the earliest guys to sign black players. And the Cleveland Browns for 10 years were one of the best NFL teams because they signed black. He said, well, I want the best. And he had Marion Motley, kind of a forgotten guy, and then we had Larry Doby. And when Cleveland won our last World Series in '48, we had Satchel Paige. How cool is that? The greatest Negro League pitcher of all time. And Larry Doby wouldn't have won without those two guys. And again, Bill Veeck said, well, he just wanted to win. Then later we had Frank Robinson, the first African American manager, and that's keep thinking of Boog Powell because he brought him in from as a former teammate in Baltimore, and that was history too. So all these, and Jesse Owens was from Cleveland, who did so well at the '36 Olympics. So yeah, it's just it's important to remember all these things. And Joe Louis, I worked at a nursing home with an elderly African American gal. We were talking about all this stuff, Joe Louis and all these, Jesse Owens. So I'm a historian, so I'm interested in all of it.
Oh, absolutely, and that's not to minimalize anything. To be in one kingdom and God kingdom, that's okay with me. And the best thing about it is when you talk about the people who you just mentioned, those are great historians. When you mention sports, if you mention, business, we really hold a place in all those selections. So it's just really important, and I wish that, a lot of people out there would take African American studies. If you think about this, Peter, think about our people. When we went to school, okay, we had to sit and listen to the teacher teach us about how we were slaves, how we were locked up, how we were beaten, how we were hung, how we were burned, okay? This is what we had to sit down, black kids, from the curriculum, how we grew up. They never taught us about the kings and queens in Africa. They never taught us about the TransUnion, the Pan-Union, the slave trade, and really how it worked, and really the economics behind that. See, there's so much information that is missed, that is not given, particularly it's really hidden from African American people because they don't want to empower us. But now, with the social media, the internet, now you can go look up a lot of the history of where we are, where we came from, and how powerful we are. And Peter, and I say this not to, once again, exclude or minimalize any other race, because I tell you this, the stronger the black race is, the stronger every race will be.
Yeah, I got back in the 80s. I'm a historian. I get interested in I thought, Africa. There's not you don't hear much news about it, but since it's part of the world, a huge continent, I love looking at the world map. So I decided to start learn as much as I could. I took a couple magazines on news in Africa, and I thought, it's so interesting to study. In this case, the current events of these various countries, what they went. For example, Liberia is a very interesting country, founded by African Americans under U.S. Protection way back in the 1800s, and then, in fact, I met a guy here. Whenever I see a guy who maybe they have a different accent. I met a guy actually from South Sudan who. He was talking about, they had the Civil War, and then he ended up coming. It's real tough times, and so the thing is with the whole slavery experience, what they went, that was obviously a horrendous thing. But one of the things I think it led to is, how do you cope with slavery? And that's why I think the African American church has been so strong, because that's if you're going through real hard times, God is how you get. You get help, and from prayer and through, and so that's so the slavery, again, good came out of it, where you have this very strong spirit in African American churches, oftentimes stronger than in white churches, which can be kind of pretty dead.
Well, I'll disagree with you there, Peter, because I actually am a member of Cottonwood Christian Center, and my pastor is Conley Bayless, who was white. So, number one, the church really has the Holy Spirit, the church is vibrant, and the church is praised. And then I also do go to a church in Compton, California with Michael Fisher. And, they do get down with their choir because it is a black church, and that's how black people worship. We do worship. It's very important to worship. So that doesn't reflect on any other white church, because at Cottonwood, where I'm a member, we do worship, we do praise, and we jump, and we scream, and we yell, and they get out too. And that's a white church. Right. And you got to remember this, Peter. Let me tell you this. With me, this is how it is in Long Beach. I don't know where it is around everywhere else, but I do. In Long Beach, where I grew up, it's really, really, it's truly a melting pot. It's not L.A. It's not Orange County, meaning Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, Laguna Beach. It's none of those. It's Long Beach. It's where white people, Mexican people, Hispanics, Asians, we all blend. You'll see different couples. We carry something different in Long Beach, and that's exactly where I'm from, and that's what I carry. So that's what you hear in my voice. So I don't want you ever to think that I exclude white people, because some of my greatest friends that I have today are white. And with that being said, they definitely understand the struggle of the African-American person.
Well, that's, wonderful if you live in a place where that's going on, because I lived in the Philippines for 20 years, and I've always been interested in meeting people. Like I'm curious if I hear someone with an accent, I'd like to know where they're from, and hopefully don't, you think, where are you from? I just met a woman from where I live. There's a lot of Albanians, and there's different ethnicities. So, it's wonderful because you can learn about other ways of cultures and so forth.
Absolutely. Love them. Mm-hmm.
Now, when you were growing up, were you a three-sport athlete growing up?
Yes, actually, 4. I ran track as well. Interesting. I played. My first sport was actually soccer, Peter. That was my first sport. Soccer and baseball were my two first sports that I ever played. My father wanted to put me in soccer because he thought that would be an advantage for me to work on my foot speed, to work on my feet, and it was a very good move. So I played soccer. I was pretty good at it. Obviously, I was fast. That's the story. Obviously, I had some speed, even as a little kid. So I love the game of soccer. I understand it. I grew up on it. As a matter of fact, I used to come home and play pickup games with the El Salvadorians and other people. You know what I'm saying? So,
right.
I really love the game, of soccer. Baseball, the same thing. And the dynamics of both sports, the reason I love it is because of the melting pot. It's a worldwide baseball sport. It's a worldwide sport. Baseball and soccer are really a worldly sports to where you do have people are from other countries participating in the game. That's why I love the game. The game has taken me so many places. It's been wonderful. It's been a blessing. It's been a curse. The game of baseball has taken me to, Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, over the pond, Italy, Canada, all over the world. The game has taken me. So, I'm well traveled. I understand. I love the two sports, and then I got caught on to football. Football, I really wanted to play it. My father didn't want me to play it till I was about 15, 16 years old. I begged him because all of my friends were playing at Pop Warner. So finally he let me play Pop Warner football at about 11 years old, and I just took fire in football, loved it. And then I played basketball as well. Loved that too. Just a real tremendous, just an all-around athlete. And, I selected baseball because I really loved baseball. I was a first-round pick. Obviously, the money was involved, was a factor as well. But I love to compete. I love all sports. Baseball's number one, football's number two, and basketball's number three.
Did you have other interests growing up besides sports?
I did, man, and they were called girls.
Okay.
I love the girls, growing up. That's just what it was. So baseball and girls is really my sport.
And in your personal life, do you have a family of your own?
I do, man. I'm married. I have four kids. I have two of my own, two-step. One graduated 24, 18, 17, and 7.
Well, that's a wonderful family. And so how's family life go? How are things going in your family today? Everything going well?
Well, that's a show for Dr. Phil, Peter. You don't want to hear that one.
Well, that's life, isn't it?
God has control of that one.
So now you're working? You have this is your main work now? Powell Sports Apparel, is that your main occupation?
I'm totally committed. That's my occupation. That's I won't say my baby because it's not my baby. It was a purpose-driven that God, gave to me. And, I say that with all humility, and the reason I say that is just because the road of how I got here, how the idea sparked. So everything included to get to Powell Sports Apparel, which I'm doing 100% now. That's my baby. That's my baby because it's God's purpose for me. And
you, what type of things do you sell?
Well, we sell, number one, we are a glove manufacturer. So what we have are custom baseball gloves. We have really the top of the line premium kip leather, Japanese kip, American kip, and also at the bottom cowhide, which is a really good leather as well, but it's just less expensive. We also sell premium T-shirts. We sell equipment. We sell Nike, New Balance, Under Armour, all the gear, nice selections. Everything is premium, top-notch quality. So go on the website, check us out at www.powellsportsapparel.com and go ahead and subscribe, leave me a little message, and I'll go ahead and get back to you.
So is this an online business?
Yes, it is. And Peter, I say that, and the Powell Sports Apparel, it's really the umbrella and the financial stream for what really is the heartbeat. The heartbeat of Powell Sports Apparel is the BBYCB mentoring program. And what BBYCB stands for Be the Best You Can Be mentoring program. So, we have a top-notch mentoring program that's ahead of us, which will include and involve, ages from about 8 to 18 years old. We have programs for the kids and the parents. We have travel ball teams. We have academic portion to where you could have tutoring for English or math, SATs, ACT testing score, teaching and lessons as well. We'll have travel. We'll have, travel baseball, travel soccer. We'll have top-notch development teaching from qualified trainers that have played professional baseball or the highest level of NCAA baseball, Major League Baseball mentors and trainers. Our mentors that we have are unbelievable because our mentors have been through something, and children out there, they need somebody who they can identify with. And with my story, being a 2-time first-round pick, 3-time All-American, playing the Major League Baseball, becoming homeless, dealing with alcoholism, 9 years sober today, having everything that I wanted, losing it all, living in the streets, almost having, 10 years in prison because of the stuff that I was doing out there in the streets. God has been good to me. He's been good.
Hello. We seem to have, I don't know, we're having a problem here. I can't hear Mr. Dante Powell giving us a wonderful interview. You're talking about his very fascinating life, and you're just talking about the hardships. Can you hear me, Mr. Powell? Oh, I don't know what's going. Technical difficulty. Sorry about that, listeners out there. And wonderful interview with Mr. Dante Powell. He's talking about his mentoring program. I'd really like to hear more about that. I imagine mentoring, I think that believes helping kids be connected with adults, to have a positive influence on them which is really good since there's so many, problems with the schools and problems in families. So it's really good when adults can step in and be connected to kids and help them, because let's face it, young people and often can get on the wrong road in life, and it's very wonderful if they can have, people to steer them in the right direction. So I certainly would love to hear more about Mr. Dante Powell's mentoring program. Can you hear me, Mr. Powell? Yeah. Anyway, so hello. Yeah, can't hear him. Anyway, Dante Powell, what a fascinating individual, and had an impressive Major League Baseball career, and has overcome some challenges. And he's apparently we lost Mr. Dante Powell. Sorry about that, listeners, but we're running low on time. Next week we'll have Marianne Castellio, host of Bear All Radio, and hopefully we can talk with Mr. I don't know if we have about 2 minutes left in the show here, but fascinating story, really inspiring person, very impressive, strong personality, and really has done well in life, and really, and dealt with some hardships. You have to feel for these players who, obviously when it comes to an end, hello, Mr. Powell, are you here?
Yo, I'm back.
Oh, well, this mentoring program, wonderful. So this involves connecting adults with young people for a positive influence?
Absolutely, Peter. And that's what we're doing. The BBYCB mentoring program will be helping a lot of children, a lot of kids.
Where is that? Is that just in Long Beach or where? Where does that take place?
Yes, it's in Long Beach, but, we are in the works right now. I want to shout out to Los Alamitos Baseball. If anybody wants to get lessons from Dante Powell, who's in California, the Los Alamitos area, there's a batting cage called The Cage. Go in there, ask for my telephone number, or, you can contact me from here, and that's where the magic will be happening.
Well, that's just a tremendous, wonderful thing you're doing because, the most important thing we can do, I believe, is have a positive impact on others, and it's certainly with problems with the schools today, problems in families, and, it's how easy it is. Well, I know for myself, I was a young man who got in a lot of trouble, and so it's, it's tragic. It's so tragic when very talented young people are, ended up, they're unable to get out of this trouble they get into, and they aren't able to make the contribution they could have. So being able to help young people move in the right direction in life is such a wonder. So I really take my hat off to you and wish you all the best with your noble endeavor.
Well, yeah, Peter, it's going to be something else. The biggest thing for me, is to serve, and help. That's what I want to do now, and that's what the Powell Sports Apparel brand is all about, and that's what the BBYCB Mentor program will be in place for.
Well, we are out of time, unfortunately. Hopefully we can have you on again. Do you have any final words for our listeners, Mr. Dante Powell?
Yeah, absolutely. Never give up, number one. And number two, which should be number one, and believe me, it took me a while to understand this, and it was hard, to put my trust in something that I couldn't see, and that is God, to put my trust into Jesus Christ, into a Holy Spirit that I couldn't see and really touch, and where it wasn't tangible, it was difficult for me. But I tell you this, in my toughest times in my life, he showed up in my life. So I don't care what anybody says. I do hold this conviction. Anybody out there, he is real. If you're struggling, get on your knees and pray. He will show up for you.
Yeah, so wonderful that you, I could have been dead myself. I had a drinking, drug, and alcohol problem, got in a lot of trouble, and again, it was because I got involved in a church, and I was been able to. I'm still here, so we're both still here. So thank goodness, and it's because of our.
Speaking proud, just say it loud. Speaking proud, Peter. Don't hide that. That's a miracle. You're a miracle because I tell you this. I buried over 30 plus people within 6 months, 1 year.
Yeah,
all of them were under the age of 36 years old.
Yeah, and so many talented people who go by the wayside and they're gone, and it's such a loss for the world because they had so much to contribute and they're gone. And I have a son. I only have one son, but he's 27, and I need to keep going. I need to be here. My dad. I had my father till I was 51, so I think I'm glad I'm still here, and I'm glad you're still here because you have a wonderful spirit, and you played Major League Baseball, but you're much more than that, and God bless you for the wonderful work you're doing.
Thank you, Peter. I really thank you, and all praises go to God upstairs, and much love to everyone out there. If you want to get a hold of me, go ahead and reach out, www.powellsportsapparel.com, or you can go ahead and send me a message at dp@powellsportsapparel.com. Other than that, much love and all power. Keep your head up and never give up.
Well, thanks again, Mr. Dante Powell, for a wonderful, inspiring interview. And dear listener, may the road rise to meet you. May the wind be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Good night, everybody. Thanks, Mr. Powell.
Bye-bye.